This week on the show, we're ranking Halloween movies by tier, entering the sphere, and making sure hot labor summer doesn't stop here. All that, plus our pop culture recommendations and a rundown of this week's top headlines. It's time for Nerd It Here Weekly. Bruno, do the thing! Welcome to Nerd It Here Weekly Spooktober edition. I'm Rowley Tombstone, and as always, I'm joined by my co-hosts, Creepak Hexness,
Hey, how you doing?
Still the best one.
Freddy Nightmare on Elm Street,
I think that one writes itself, really.
and Jack-o'-lantern Transylvania.
Hi.
Hey guys,
I'm
it's
happy
Halloween
to be
season.
here.
We're doing the spooky stuff. So in the past, we've tried to lean into Halloween. We've tried to have some fun in our annual Spooktober festival, but I feel like we always end up getting to Halloween at the end of the month, and then people are like listening to it the first week of November. So instead, we're kind of trying to give some Halloween stuff the whole month long. We wanted to take a little bit of time up top here to let you know what extra Halloween content you can be getting for just $5 a month. That's the cost of one latte from your favorite ununionized coffee shop. You can be getting 4 extra episodes of the show every month. Deepak, you have yours is next up. Do you want to talk a little bit about what folks can expect from your Nerd Out coming this week?
Yeah, so this week on the Nerd Out, we'll be doing a double feature discussion of The Thing, 1982 and the 2011 version. Kind of compare, contrast, and talk about movies as far as well, I don't want to dictate actually what we're going to talk about. We'll just kind of discover it, but that's what we're going to be talking about. And also on the non-subscriber side, go ahead and follow us on Letterboxd at NIHF, which will be kind of what we're hoping is the new sort of hub for movies and soon television content. And that'll direct you to the site. But Letterboxd, NIHF, we're on there now.
You can follow us on all the social media, right? You can get us on
Mhm.
TikTok and Instagram at Nerd It Here First. Our YouTube channel is currently being resuscitated by Bruno. It's a dark and challenging endeavor he's taken on, but he's working around. He refuses to call time of death on that thing, despite how long
He knows not what he asked when he asked for those login credentials.
A lot of times when you use a metaphor like trying to keep something alive, that metaphor assumes the person who was responsible for it before you, in this case me, hasn't literally had it buried 6 feet underground for the last 5 years. But he's bringing that thing back to life, and we're proud of him. So yeah, make sure you're following us on the socials, getting
This
reviews.
This is the month for reanimation. So good for you.
Hey, well said. All right, with that excellent pun, guys, let's get to the headline roundup. I wanted to start off this week by talking a little bit about our friends in the streaming community. Specifically, it turns out that Netflix is planning to hike up prices as soon as the strike is resolved. I guess that's one way to do it. But Fred, looking at your shirt there, what are you thinking about? Is it,
I'm thinking Netflix needs to chill with that. Really. It's just again, look, I'm 0% surprised. Absolutely, not even shocked. A little bit, and I don't think anyone here is, right? But like, come on, man. Like we all went to stream services like Netflix to get away from the stupid price hikes, right? Like it's the same bullshit cable was pulling, and if Netflix wants to, Netflix is gonna like raise their prices. They gotta come out with something that's gonna like hook me because they haven't done a new thing in a little bit that's got me to say, okay, this is good and worth the money I'm spending every month.
So I'll piggyback off of that, which is that their lean into gaming is going to be part of that. But the main reason this is happening is because we talked about how a company like A24 is private. They were able to capitulate to everything that the guilds wanted and were able to get the waivers for their productions. Netflix is public, so they're obviously beholden to shareholders. And hiking up the prices now and blaming the strikes is going to be them making up for any dip in stock price that may have happened, or any fluctuation in projections due to the strikes. So this is how they'll get away with eventually caving to the actors, and like they already did with the writers. So
Yeah. No, I fully makes sense. It's just annoying.
It's interesting though, right? I think I was also thinking about the gaming angle on it, Deepak, when Fred was talking about that. But I think it's interesting because, I don't know if I'm any different from y'all, but they've already begun their foray into gaming, and I do not play any of the Netflix games that I have access
I
to. Every
played the
once in a while,
trivia games. That's it.
I remember they exist, and I'll go, oh, and then I like fail to follow up. But yeah, I don't. It feels to me like they are not that they are missing a step here somewhere, right? And this is
No,
kind of
I think what I was referring to is the next evolution of that.
yes.
I think right now it's baby steps, baby steps. We're waiting for their sort of real, for lack of a better term, launch title. And I think that's what's coming.
What it might be a thing again, but we're not the demographic, right? Like everyone here who plays video games, like we've got better ways to play video games than Netflix,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Like,
We spend hundreds of dollars on machines dedicated for it.
right. This
But
may be a thing where they're
Hey,
not.
we've all had really cutting edge game systems or PC setups and all that, but we also have all played like Angry Birds. So there are
that's true.
things that are viral and just catch on, and I think
Right,
that's
but
really,
when did we play Angry Birds?
that's true. Like what, high school,
That-
college?
Yesterday.
Right, like so it might be a thing where like they're not gunning for us, they're gunning for the little kids or something. I don't know, but I can see us not being the demo that they're aiming for Netflix. I mean, I constantly forget that it's a thing, and I've never used it once. Like,
Mhm.
It does feel like if it could work, but that they have not figured it out yet. I wonder if the licensing rights for games, if things like the cloud gaming technology is holding them back. I don't know what it is, but
They're an acquisition away.
yeah, always one, always just
Yeah.
one. Kind of speaking of which, though, it brings us to our second story in the news roundup this week, which is the results of a recent Newswhip media survey that suggests that HBO Max, or sorry, now it's just called Max, is people's top streaming service, and our poor Netflix seems to have dropped first to fourth, and then ultimately to sixth among user preferences. I wonder if that is things like seemingly arbitrary price increasing, titles going on and off the catalog. But it made me curious. What did you guys make? And I have the overall ranking here. It goes Max at number 1, Hulu at number 2, Disney Plus at number 3, Apple TV Plus at number 4, Paramount Plus at number 5, Netflix at number 6, Prime at number 7, and then Peacock at number 8. And that's
No,
yeah.
Peacock my number one.
I don't know what to tell you, man.
Mm.
74% user satisfaction among users in 2023, which is up. They are Apple TV and Peacock are the only ones on this list that every year have gone up. So that's a
Where
good
was
sign for
Disney
them.
again?
Disney Plus right now is number 3, although they are also the owners of Hulu, which is number 2, right? So
I was
Well,
gonna
I
ask,
think the
that's
big
interesting
takeaway here is
it's
that
above Disney.
Apple just had Ted Lasso season 3, though, right? Like, wasn't that this year?
yeah,
Pretty recently.
Yes,
Yeah.
that
that's
happened recently, and that Idris Elba show and the Rebecca Ferguson show, and those were all pretty big.
Apple TV seems
It's
to be good.
crazy to me that Max, even after the rebranding and after everything that we all get up, in arms about with taking off content and canceling Batgirl and all that, it's still, I think, because of the breadth of content, the number one option. And now they've added sports. I was talking to you, Riley, last night about the Phillies game being on Max for the first time, which is
Yep.
brand new to me.
Because of the
I also
Turner
feel like
acquisition.
I
Yeah.
actually
they
don't
kinda
have
do the
Max
least.
anymore.
And
I feel like
Hulu
they
has the
kinda do
same
the
kind of
least.
diversity of options. So.
Sorry, Jack.
No, you're fine. I just like Amazon in particular will like not give you the 4K video because they're complaining about your internet or something like that.
Mm.
Or even Netflix. It's like I don't know. I feel like a lot of these services are bad at offering the information I care about when I'm like watching these shows. Like, what is the quality and how is the audio mixed? And some of them are just like, I don't know, here's the title and a screenshot. You can click on it. And HBO is good at that, but it is definitely frustrating when it feels worse than random. It feels like they're picking the shows that I like and removing them.
No, they definitely try to push certain things on you, and if you've even shown a slight interest, like I've got the Meg 2 all over my HBO Max right now, and I'm gonna watch it at some point, but I'm just not gonna watch it like today.
It's a real big
But
shark attack.
they will keep it right there. I think it's 3 of them this time. I can't wait. Oh my god, it's gonna be good. But I haven't gotten around to it.
It's interesting, one of the things, Jack, right, is that Max charges you, I think it's $5 extra a month for 4K content, right? So like they also have the striations of membership, and I don't know if that's a thing that people feel like gives them more control over their user experience or not. But
They
I
have
will
the
say,
ad version, and they have all that.
if you don't
I mean,
want to
I
pay,
certainly feel like it
oh, go ahead.
probably feels cheaper if you don't have a 4K TV to be able to subscribe to the non 4K plan. But the converse is it feels more expensive when you do have one.
And if you don't have a 4K TV, go check your subscriptions and make sure you're not paying for 4K
Yeah, for real.
HBO. And if you find out that you were and you just saved yourself $5 by listening to this show, hey, you know what you could sign up for? It's the Nerd App. $5 a month, 4 extra episodes. Think of all the money we'll be saving you after that. All right, next up in the roundup, I wanted to talk a little bit about Mean Girls because it was October 3rd this week, and in a similar it was October 3rd this week, which is Mean Girls Day, as anybody who is cultured should be aware. And as a part of this, Paramount put Mean Girls on TikTok as like a live watch thing, and this had folks, including writers, I think a little bit nervous about what the future of content delivery is going to look like. There's all sorts of piracy risks and things like that related to the concerns. But Deepak, as our resident worry about the way the movies are changing guy, how do we feel about the kids watching Mean Girls on their phone? Is this a thing that we're just getting upset about because we're old, or what?
Probably. They consume media differently. I bet for most of them, it wasn't even the first time they were watching the movie. There was a Nolan interview recently where he talked about how he doesn't care if people watch movies on their phones, as long as it's like ideally not the first time that they watch the movie, but like if they want to watch it later on a phone, it's not a big deal. Yeah, look, we have to make our peace with the fact that like not everyone is going to have the top of the line setup to be able to watch Game of Thrones with the pitch perfect black levels and contrast and HDR. So whatever. And it's Mean Girls. It's not Lawrence of Arabia or something. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I do. It is a 20-year-old movie tomorrow or next year, right? Like, so from 2004. So I'm okay with it being a little bit gimmicky on this one, just because, as Deepak said, it is Mean Girls. But yeah, I mean,
Like if they had done it for Superbad, I would have had the same reaction. Fine.
Yeah, I think that the reaction that people were having in the media was mostly due to the fact that this happened just a couple days after the strike was over.
Yeah.
And I think like it was just maybe an optics thing. But I'm with you. I mean, there's a growing trend, right, of studios trying to find different ways of getting their content out in front of new different audiences, right? And if your new audience is primarily living on video-based social media platforms, then take your video-based content and deliver it to where those people are, right? Like it's the whole thing that everybody does.
Let's say hypothetically, if you did not have Mean Girls, like a way to watch Mean Girls before TikTok, is it on a streaming platform right now? Do we know? Like, or would it be a thing where they have,
Probably
like,
on Paramount Plus.
Yeah, I imagine it's on Paramount Plus.
Yeah, I was just thinking they might be using this to gauge the interest in like a Mean Girls streaming series or something like that.
Yeah, right. There's always that sort of thing hanging around.
Yeah,
Let me
because
see if I throw
the
in.
TikTok
Also,
generation is the one that show would be catered towards. So.
No, but like I
also-
know. Go ahead.
This is sort of thing is happening anyway. Like the interesting thing is that official channels did this, but
Right.
casual content creators will illegally put entire movies or TV shows on YouTube or
Yeah,
any
all
other
of
social
Mario
media
was on
platforms.
Twitter like a month after it came out.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
And
I don't chagrin studios for wanting to like get those viewership numbers for themselves at least.
Mhm.
Why do you think we
Well,
started getting digital copies with our movies when we bought them? Because of
and I think that's the thing. I think that is the like. And this will be the last thing we say on this because this is a silly thing for us to spend this amount of time on. But like TikTok has copyright structures in place hypothetically that
Mhm.
should have not allowed me to watch all of the second Spider-Verse movie on TikTok.
there's rules and there's enforcement, right? They're two different things.
But TikTok made special exceptions for Paramount in this instance. And I think that's the concern on the part of like writers and folks, right? Is studios getting special permission to usurp copyright violation, and whereas other people wouldn't be able to do the same thing, technically within the bounds of the rule. Again, I'm with you guys all, right? A, it's a thing that's already happening. B, the studio's going to have to change if they want to keep up. C, ultimately, who gives a shit on the grand spectrum of things? But it was interesting. It felt like Raptors testing the fences, right? I think that's where I am. Is like
There's no suspicion that the studio got away with something.
no, I don't think so.
Because they took advantage of the strike to do something that they could get away with, or okay.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I get it. Then I don't. Whatever, it's fine.
All right. Next up in the roundup, we got an announcement this week that the live-action Bambi movie, a thing that is against all odds still happening, is going to be
It's like the Lion King live action, right?
Yeah, right.
No, it's just a nature documentary of deer.
It's going to be making some massive changes to keep up with modern audiences. I don't know if it's going to feature our best friend Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson as Bambi himself or not, but the Prince of the Forest is apparently going to be less. There he is. There's our boy. Make that terrible thing go away, Bruno.
Is that the real picture?
No.
Okay.
Deepak clearly missed this one.
No, that I saw. That's the SNL thing.
This you're just living with. So anyway, sorry. My point was that the animators had made some announcements, for example, that they weren't going to maybe make kids suffer through the death of Bambi's mother in such, gritting detail. But one of the things that
deer murder.
Original.
I don't know, man. But this, in general, I'm like, why are we doing this?
And why is Mufasa's
not...
death okay, but not Bambi's mother? I don't know.
But I mean, I did not see live action Lion
come back
King.
as a ghost.
I did not see live action Lion King. Do we see like his bones getting broken in very realistic CG?
It's framed.
I think that's the problem because in Bambi,
thing.
He cries over a corpse and she'd be shot with a real bullet. Like, I guess it's all about how realistically you would want to depict it.
I don't remember seeing Bambi's mother actually get shot. You hear a gunshot and then she's laying.
You see a gun, right? Yeah. You see a gun go off. You do not see the bullets enter the mom's body.
Like Wes Anderson.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's Deepak, you're familiar with how editing works. You see a gun go, you see a deer fall, your brain makes the connection.
I've seen the shower scene in Psycho. I'm aware of editing.
Precisely. Yeah. I think my question is more just why the fuck are we doing this? Like,
you're gonna do them
how
all.
many
Hercules
are they just gonna have to do all of them?
Aristocats is in development. Yeah.
Like that's I
Dude,
feel
because
like
if it's not good enough for a theatrical release, it feeds the streaming beast. So it works out regardless. Pinocchio doesn't have to be good.
I thought Iger wanted to get away from that. I thought that was the whole reason we were out on Chapek was that he fucked that up.
Iger wanted to get away from having too much oversaturation of content on streaming with Marvel and everything else, which he said diluted the brands. He's scaling back on that. But the content is going to have to be replaced somehow with something else, and this is an easy source of it.
That's the thing. Is it just it's the grist for the mill?
Yeah.
We already have the script written.
I think supply
can hate
far
'em all day,
outpaces
but-
demand, but sorry, go ahead.
We can hate them all day, but which ones have lost money again?
A
Dumbo.
few of them have, but yeah, like
Not a
Pete's
lot.
Dragon and the ones that like no one cared about or
Good
they
ones.
dumped them on
Good
streaming anyway.
ones, wildly. Oh, I watched that Lady and the Tramp one that got shunted to streaming. That was pretty tricky. They're
Oh, I forgot about that.
I was pulling up the finale of Ahsoka the other day, and they were positioning Cruella de Vil as a Halloween watch, which I don't know if I co-signed or not, but it did make me laugh.
I think
Yeah,
she's
I
a
don't know.
costume designer. That's why.
Oh, that could be.
She's custom. Yeah.
Now
Okay.
I'm just watching the
I
trailer
don't.
for Mean
I don't
Girls
remember
on a
if
loop.
Bambi was ever that good when was the cartoon version, right? Like,
Well,
Don't
there
say
is.
that to the animation guy. Don't say that to him.
I was just going to say there is also something to be said for whether or not we should be mining the content of the 1930s and 40s to entertain today's children, right? Like, is a Bambi remake, because kids all loved the Pinocchio remake so much. They're
I mean,
demanding.
there's still the very first one is Snow White. That's still coming up. So
Yeah.
they have not gone all the way back yet.
All right. Final thing for the roundup this week, and then we're going to get into the news. Guys, I've got a question for you, and it's a question that I hope we're going to start answering more and more on the show. And that question is, who is having the best week ever? My nominee for who is having the best week ever is Mr. Keanu Reeves, who this week performed the halftime show of the Pixar football game in person as Duke Kaboom. And yeah, technically Duke Kaboom didn't say anything, so was Keanu technically involved? Who's to say? But it's his character. And his band put out their first album in a few decades, which I thought was cool. And Cyberpunk 2077's reputation is finally restored after it got its newest and most expensive patch by far. So, for those three reasons, I suggest that Mr. Keanu Reeves is having the best week ever. Does anyone have any other nominees who aren't named Travis Kelce?
so I have a nomination actually.
Okay.
So I nominate myself as having the best week ever because I've been
Oh.
playing Cyberpunk 2077, who features, as we all know, Keanu Reeves, who had this great
Oh.
week where he,
Oh. Yeah.
Mhm.
But
You're
did
saying
you-
you've osmosed Keanu's good week into your own life?
But did you play with Dogstar in Pittsburgh this week?
I haven't gotten to it yet. The new update is such that you basically have to start a whole new thing.
Sorry, Fred, that's a real life thing. The thing I said it's not a video game. It's a real.
I
It's
thought
a
that was
flash-
the new
it's a meat
expansion with
space.
Idris.
Mine was a meat space thing.
Remember real life?
What's the? I thought the whole dog park thing was
No, Dogstar's his band. Here, hold on. I'll pull up some
Oh.
Dogstar. I'll pull up some Dogstar. We'll officially declare Keanu as having the best week ever, and we'll
Fine by
use
me.
this music to take us into the main portion of the show here. Pull up somewhere between Power Lines and Palm Trees, which is their new album, and let's just go with track one. It's called Blonde.
crap.
Congratulations,
I was gonna be
Keanu Reeves, on
Reeves.
having the best week ever. Yeah. All right, guys, let's get to the news. I want to start this week by taking us inside the Sphere. Guys, are you all familiar with the Sphere?
It's Vegas
Feedback
thing.
knows nothing about this. Okay, so Jack and I have
one
been
of my
getting
favorite
obsessed with the
shapes.
Sphere lately. So the Sphere, I don't know if it has an actual name or not, but if it does, I refuse to learn it, is a giant event space
If that's-
venue in Las
Is this
Vegas.
the Las Vegas, the big auditorium? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
U2 has performed inside of it now, and I don't know if I saw some clips circulating on TikTok and YouTube. I think probably everybody's seen a little bit of that at this point. It looked insane. Oh, here's Bruno showing it, and then
Clouds and all that stuff. That's the same concert.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then Darren Aronofsky also premiered an 18K movie there.
No.
So the sphere's getting crazy, and I wanted to talk about what we think the potential for it is, and because
Christopher Nolan, Christopher Nolan, Christopher Nolan, Christopher Nolan.
My
so
eardrums
there's
would
two.
rupture.
Listen, there's two.
Dune Part 3. Dune Part 3.
Is we could use it to find mutants around the world and
Just
help
saying.
them.
Just saying.
Help them.
So let's start
Can I
with, please.
I was just wanted to hit us with some numbers so we
Oh
can
yeah,
appreciate
let's
as
talk it.
resident number fan.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing is equipped to seat 18,000 people,
Okay.
and there are 10,000 haptic seats that can like rumble you. There are the screen is 16K, so I guess we're missing out on 2 of the Ks in the film, but it is
Wow.
the highest resolution LED screen in the world, and it has a series of X1 speakers, 1,600 of them behind all of the panels for a total of 160,000 drivers. So it's a pretty intense stadium.
Yeah, it's
James
pretty
Cameron
nutty.
is going to film all of the avatars for this screen specifically, is what's going to
And
happen.
sometimes they
Oh
make
my
the
God.
outside look like a big
Tell me I'm
eyeball.
on, dude.
Did you have any stats on that, Jack?
Can you see it
Um,
from space? That would be so freaky.
I doubt you can see it from space. I will tell you when I get information on the LEDs on the outside.
No, you're fine. So Darren Aronofsky premiered this movie called Postcards from the Edge. It's an 18K film. He said it was like 4 football fields large in terms of visual space. It's a 50-minute movie. I guess, Deepak, if we just start there, if the Sphere becomes the exclusive screening venue for experimental art pieces by some of our favorite directors, is that going to be a draw for us? Like, is that going to get you and I flying out to Vegas to go see movies in Sphere?
When Terrence Malick made The Tree of Life, there was like an alternate cut that focused on the history of time part of that movie, like from the birth of the universe through like dinosaurs to now. And I think he expanded it to like about an hour or maybe like 45 minutes. You tell me today that they're showing that at the Sphere, and I'm booking my ticket now, today.
Okay.
So yeah,
Okay.
yeah. All the David Attenborough nature documentaries, just premiere them there. You know?
Ooh.
Yeah.
So as a descriptor of the Aronofsky one, so this is from Variety, which did a rundown on the piece and did an
I'm
interview with
terrified. I'm
Aronofsky about it.
terrified of Aronofsky.
Gosh,
So when it
Imagine
comes,
watching Mother. Imagine watching Mother on that screen.
No.
Or
I don't
Noah.
want to.
Or Noah.
is that what the movie was called, Deepak?
Wasn't it?
I
Was it
believe you'll
Mother?
find it was called Mother.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
When it comes to how big a
Like,
movie
did I really
experience
forget?
can get, Sphere has answered that question once and for all. The sky is the limit. The first film to play in the enormous, immersive new space in Las Vegas, Darren Aronofsky's Postcards from the Edge, has plenty of blue screen, so to speak. That is, vast skies that stretch to fill the dome that towers 366 feet over the venue's floor level. The 50-minute movie takes you to the reaches of space, too, with a wraparound science fiction narrative that is apropos for Sphere's wraparound screen. But quote unquote, let's get small is an operative motif too, as the proprietary big sky cameras zoom in on objects as tiny as a praying mantis. So yeah, seems wild. I would love to see this thing. I'd love to be in Sphere in general. I like a U2. I'll tell you this. One time I saw U2 perform in Baltimore in freaking June. And apparently, because they had so many pyrotechnics and stuff, they were like, show doesn't start till the sun goes down. So Florence and the Machine came out and opened. And then we all sat around for like 2.5 hours because it was the goddamn summer solstice waiting for the sun to go down. So Bono in his sunglasses could come out and sing to us about, you know, how he still hasn't found what he's looking for or whatever. And then I see these dang videos from In the Sphere, and I'll be gosh darned if Bono's not performing in front of a pretend daytime. It's
That's a great
nighttime
point.
outside. He brought daytime inside so he could sing about his streets that don't have names. I got so
Did you use pyrotechnics?
I don't think so. I think it was just Sphere. You can't do
You
pyrotechnics
don't
in
need
Sphere.
you have
pyrotechnics
to
when
do
you
it
got
indoor,
when you
yeah.
got Sphere.
What if they did? They set off some fireworks. It would like not even
Well, so-
impress, right? You'd be like, "What? Who gives a shit?"
Yeah, I mean, because like I feel like fireworks on TV screen, like you're gonna be meh about it, but like you go to
Oh,
those
if
live
they were
concerts,
like in the
people-
background, for sure.
Yeah, like I don't know.
In Sphere, fireworks in
Sphere-based
Sphere would be interesting.
Fireworks, yeah.
I don't like the wraparound thing. That's too gimmicky. But show
Yeah.
real, regular movies like Ben-Hur, Fury Road, something like that. There, oof.
Just big, on like a quarter of it. The rest of it's
Big,
black.
just
Just
Yeah, I mean, I don't, why
would
would I need to look behind me? Why would I need to look behind me? Let 276 to 1 wrap around as
Well,
far as it goes.
I would want to
just-
see something like Dunkirk in there. I could do
Mhm.
Greyhound in there, like a big, like
Ooh, Greyhound.
Greyhound would be good in there.
Greyhound.
It would.
Straight to streaming
In
movie. You guys are taking
Star
to Sphere.
Wars Episode
No, we
2
need
Attack of the Clones.
Yes.
no.
Oh my
We need,
God. Yes. Give
no.
me
We
like
need
the
new
Battle-
stuff for Sphere. We're not watching old.
right.
Don't
The
bring your
Battle of
old.
Geonosis. The Battle of Geonosis.
How do I mute him? This is no. We're not
I can do
bringing
it. I'm in
old
on.
garbage
Okay,
movies into Sphere. Our Sphere. No, you can. Only good new Sphere designed projects. If I
Well,
can't
they
turn
made
around
a
and see a different part of the narrative happening behind me, I'm not interested.
No, the
I don't
sphere
want it.
They
design
made a
products are going to be
miniature.
like Elemental 2. I don't want that.
They made a miniature version of the Sphere for people to use while they're like in post production and stuff to like see
Oh.
what it actually looks
Oh.
like. It's only 100 feet tall.
What if that becomes
Cowards.
the new volume? What if that becomes the new volume? It's like a 360-degree LED
That you
panel.
film in Sphere.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. Yeah. Do you guys know for the volume? Have we talked about the volume on
No.
here?
No.
Deepak, you want to give them a rundown on the volume? Because it's the thing you and I are
It's,
deeply obsessed with.
Yeah, it's this new. I mean, it's been around for a few years. It's been used a lot on like the Mandalorian and stuff. but
Mandalorian. It's why Mandalorian looks so cool.
Yeah, it's basically instead of a green screen, you project the backdrop that you want on these enormous LED panels that can then act. So you don't have to add it in later in post production. It's there
Yeah.
because it's live on set via the LED panel.
I bet
So
the
I think it was
actors-
like very first pioneered it to an extent on Gravity, and then they really took off.
Interesting.
When
no,
you
'cause
can catch that they're using it, because like Game of Thrones, they'll use it a lot. This is how you can tell they're using the volume, because how it works is you're in this big sound stage, and like Deepak says, there's LED screens on all sides of you, so that you, the actor, can look around and be like, "Oh, look, I'm in Westeros."
And the lighting is realistic. They don't have to worry about that because it's
Mhm.
actually like the orange from a dragon's fire coming across your
Right.
face, right?
But the place for the actors to stand is basically just this one little strip that
Right.
runs in the middle of it. So anytime you're in the middle of a really impressive looking visual spectacle and all your actors are like standing in a little row, that's you're in the volume now, baby. Like on Game of Thrones, a lot of times they're on like a bridge, like over some water with like dragons flying around, and they're doing like really intense face-to-face negotiations. That's the volume.
In a line.
Or Star Wars will do it with big like lightsaber battles where you're like facing down an opponent. Then that's in the volume. But yeah, this would be like 20 times more impressive than that visually. I just don't know what the production of it would cost, which I think is kind of bringing me to my last question, which is how long do you guys think the Sphere hangs around for? I mean, it's Vegas, which is a city that is pretty well known for blowing buildings up as soon as they don't think they're interesting anymore. Do you guys think the Sphere has a shelf life of over a decade, or is this a thing that we're gonna like, oh, it was fun, we got bored of it almost instantly, it turned out nobody could actually make a movie for it, and it just turned into a movie theater before it finally got blown up?
I think that's pretty likely. It did cost almost or over $2 billion. So I think someone wants that money back. I don't know who did this.
Oh, the guy who
But,
runs it is like one of those big time Vegas crazies. So yeah.
I
think the life cycle you described is going to happen, but I don't think it happens in like 10 years. I think it's like a 20, 30, maybe 40-year thing. We're still going to be talking about it, but it'll be like, oh yeah, that Sphere thing.
No, remember
Oh,
the
yeah.
sphere?
I'd
Sphere
say
solar?
other cities get smaller versions of it.
Interesting.
That feels like the most
Can I
optimistic
offer
possibility.
Can I offer one last potential use for it to keep it
Yeah.
going?
hmm
The Galactic Senate.
What? Just doing it? Just.
Look,
No, I
if
want to
Galactic Center is going to be
In the
anywhere, it's
sphere.
going to be Earth, baby. I'm telling you what.
I want to watch that. I want to watch that big jellyfish opera.
Oh, Squid Lake. Yeah.
Ba-dum, 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 bum, bum. Quick labor hit. I know it's not hot labor summer anymore. It's humid labor fall now, I suppose. But
Temperate.
Jackson, video game companies are moving to unionize just as the SAG-AFTRA strike authorization comes to roost for video
They're
game projects.
high-fiving as they walk through the door.
Exactly. I just thought we could take a minute and kind of run through what is the status of some of the bigger names in the industry. We like to keep an eye on who's on the right side of labor. So did you want to take us through that a little bit and just kind of let us know where we stand?
Yeah.
I know, of course, the big
Sadly,
one. Yeah, we'll go. Yeah, there.
not a lot of video game companies are very progressive in this department, as it's a very new industry. I mean, famously at the beginning, people who worked on games weren't even allowed to use their real names in the credits because they were so worried, like companies were so worried about them being scalped. Which is how Easter eggs started, was to hide developers' names in their games, which is
Cool
messed up.
industry we got here.
Things are a little
Sure.
better now, but not great.
Sure would be a shame if something happened to it.
Famously, a few years ago, Activision Blizzard nowadays,
Mm.
made headlines for
Oh,
their Riley?
cool and chill social practices that did not make female co-workers feel uncomfortable at all.
That is
Rather,
incorrect.
you're going to have to
Damn it.
specify because I think that happened a few times. Which one were you talking about?
There was reports of widespread sexism and harassment that resulted in a lot of layoffs. It was not a great time.
This is the
Cool
first time
industry
say-
we've got here.
Needless to say, they're not hugely pro unionizing either, and have worked to stall efforts before.
Yeah, and but now they're getting acquired, right? So here's what I would say though, Jack.
They're by Microsoft.
Why being such a gloomy Gus about this? I'm sure Microsoft's labor neutrality agreement with the CWA, must be ironclad and unable, to be broached by any sort of loophole that would result in. I mean, you're telling me that Microsoft is one of the biggest video game companies in the world, Jack. You're telling me that they don't even have labor protections for their video game employees? That's gonna be a pretty big one for me to believe.
So they entered an agreement last year. It's pretty new. That should, in theory, include Activision Blizzard once they are acquired. But we'll see. I mean, it's not like Microsoft is the patron saint of good company practices.
Yeah, right. No FTC inquiries over there. That's for sure. I guess the big question I have, right, amongst all these companies, right, because the two here's so when we talk about taking off my sweatshirt here, I'm getting a little steamed under the collar. Season the means of production. When I think of video game unions, Jack, the two kind of organizations I think about like your on-air folks, right? Like voice actors, motion capture performers, things like that. And then I think of coders, right? Like the people that make the game who get crunched on, right? Those are the two kind of big sections of worker that come to my mind when I think, oh, who needs labor protections in the video game space? And then, like you say, we get things, like Sega of America voting on whether or not it's going to have a union, which just went through.
It's a pervasive issue. Like, even foreign developers in places that tend to have more unionized labor are able to be a little more sketchy about how they conduct their business because of how uncommon unionization is here and how wide-reaching the prospect of making a video game is. Like you mentioned actors and programmers, but there's a lot more than just that.
That is one of the things I wanted to ask about, just because, video games they're not made in one place, right? So like, if you get something like BioWare, they have a studio in Austin, Texas, and then they've got Montreal. They might have closed the Texas one now that I'm thinking about it.
There's a ton of studios in Montreal, actually.
Yeah. But the point is that they're made all over the place, right? Like, so how does a team from Austin, Texas work with a team in Montreal, and does that change anything?
Mm-hmm. I don't know enough legally to say, but I can imagine even there are like outsourcing other jobs to places with far shadier labor laws than Canada.
Yeah. And there will be, well, hold on. I have something to say on that too, but you get these sorts of issues all the time in modern, like corporate structures, right? Facebook, banks here, they're headquartered here, they have users all around the world, they sell advertising dollars all around the world, and ultimately they get taxed here, right? Like, and companies will try and shuffle things around to make that easier for themselves. I think that the move, right, by any company that or workers at any organization that feel like maybe the international nature of their work would make it difficult for them to pursue labor protections, would be to form a union within your organization, right? Like the Sega folks did, right? The Sega folks formed the Allied Employee Guild Improving Sega, which is now just a Sega union, right? It's not like the WGA, for example, right, where it's all writers. It's just Sega employees. I did though want to just real quickly say I don't think that the Canada, if we're comparing the Montreal and Austin offices of any video game company, I'm thinking that the Austin one is the one with shady work practices that allow you to get away with too much. I think the Canada one probably locks your ass down. But yeah, I don't know.
I want to be clear that it's not all bad news. In particular with Activision Blizzard, their QA testers, which is again a whole nother field, have had success. The studio is, I think, called Raven something. Where did it go? Raven Software did get win a ruling recently that should lead to unionization. So that's good.
And ZeniMax, which is a small company that Microsoft acquired a couple of years ago, they recently did a vote. They got 300 yes votes, and Microsoft recognized the union, right? So like we were shit talking the future of Activision earlier, but like, there it does seem, for whatever reason, I guess all it took was me yelling about it for 32 years, and finally we're gonna start seizing the means of production around here. But yeah, I don't know what the cause for it is, but it does seem like the entertainment industry in general is starting to recognize the need for labor protections, and I'm excited about that.
I think I know the cause of it.
Yeah. Yes.
AI.
Oh, there we go. We're certainly not in the midst of any sort of gigantic tide shift or anything. All right, let's get to the fun stuff, since it's been such a serious episode so far. So for the main event this week, guys, I thought we could rank some Halloween movies. In the past, we have talked about Bruno. So powerful, so fast, so magnanimous,
so talented.
So my boss. And so I've got 21 movies here. I thought we could come up with, this was a list I pulled, I believe, off Variety, I think is where I found this one. But they had a list of just 21 movies to watch for Halloween.
Interesting list.
It's got a mix. It's got a good mix of different types. I thought we could go through. I thought we could try and find our A through D tier. We'll stick 5 in each. And then, I think we'll end up with 6 A's, and one of those A's will rise to be our S tier Halloween movie. The activity seem pretty clear to everybody?
A secondary solution. can we just put Hocus Pocus in the S tier right now?
You just want to get that over with. Yeah,
I was
we
gonna
can-
say.
Okay, hold on. One
I was
question.
gonna say Nightmare Before Christmas. Hold on.
Are we ranking them as movies or as Halloween movies?
I think we're ranking them as Halloween
Halloween
movies.
movies. Yeah.
All
I
right,
think
there
that's
we go.
fair.
So I just want to make that clear because there's going to be some controversial opinions.
There's going to be controversial
With
opinions no
you?
matter what.
All right.
All right,
I'm
let's
ready when
start.
you guys are.
I've got an order to take them in here.
Okay.
So,
All right.
if we all immediately feel, a certain kind of way, we can talk about it. We can also leave it on the shelf for later if we need to, whatever. So the first one I want to hit us with is 2019's Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. Let me just right off the bat ask, has anyone seen Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark?
Aware
No,
of
but
it.
I'm
not
familiar.
I read
Yeah,
the book.
Fred, talk to us about the books.
It's a bunch of scary stories that you tell in the dark.
Oh, okay.
Stories, kind of meh, kind of whatever. I
Mhm.
remember thinking that they were fine. The artwork on that book is the most
Mhm.
terrifying thing I've ever seen in my entire
That
life.
is what I remember about it too.
Yeah, read.
seen. I don't know.
Just
I've never seen the book cover.
pull
Let
up
me
the
look it up.
artwork for this. They are unbelievable, and they're children's books. These are the
They're
our
scary
illustrator.
stories, Fred.
The illustrator went so hard on the artwork, and I know that the movie pulls very heavily from it, but like,
Oh, I have seen these.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, thank you.
The one thing I
know-
know about this movie is that it was, and the one thing that stood out to me when I was putting it on our doc and I saw it on the list was that I remembered it was I think written, but definitely produced by Guillermo del Toro, which
Oh.
always there's no other del Toro representation on this list, unfortunately, and he's always a mainstay for me when it comes to Halloween movies.
Mhm.
So between
Mhm.
just knowing Guillermo's rep and Fred's instant reaction to, and then Deepak remembering these books clearly, having also known them, I'm inclined to, let's say we put it at B right now, and maybe we can move it
Yeah.
later if we need to.
Yeah,
But
I would give it there. From
Sounds
what I
fine
know
by
about the
me.
movie is that they actually built their monsters off the artwork pretty closely.
oh, that's yeah,
and the artwork is wild.
we love a practical effect, don't we, folks?
Yeah, and Del Toro, right?
They're saying it more and more. All right, next one I want to talk about. I don't mean to start a fight so early, but the next one is Practical Magic, which I just simply must insist is going to be an A tier movie. This is an every year Halloween watch for me. This is
All
an
right.
all-timer for me. This might be the only one on the list. I mean, there are other movies that I would throw down for, but there are ones that I know you guys are going to agree with. This might
Oh,
be the hill that I would die on in this conversation, just because I think this is such an essential Halloween watch.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
Can we each get one like veto
Golden
card
buzzer. Oh,
Yeah.
opposite.
to just
A veto.
put it in? No, just to like put it in anywhere.
Riley was
Like
trying
we
to
just
make
get
his
to
life
decide where
easier.
this one goes. So Riley,
makes
if you just want to like
This would just
veto
be
all of
my-
us and be like, this is an A movie, actually.
This is an A movie, actually. Yeah, if I need to.
I
But let
haven't
me.
seen it, so yeah,
So
I
it's
have no-
Sandra Bullock and Nicole Kidman, and Stockard Channing, for what it's worth, for you stockheads out there. And Bullock and Kidman play sisters who have
okay.
descended from a line of witches and have become very different adults. And one of them starts running with a dangerous guy, and they do witch magic, and things get out of hand pretty quickly. Is where I'll leave it at. It is, I think, the kind of movie, Deepak, that I'll find purchase with you when I say it's the sort of movie that, like, when it came out at the time, I might have been like, yeah, fine, entertaining enough. But now, like, it's a quiet movie for adults, and I'm just like, genius, a masterpiece.
They don't make them
This-
like
Feel
this
so
is
strongly
the-
about it.
they don't make them like this anymore, kids.
I looked it up. I saw the images. I recognize it immediately. I don't know if I've ever watched it all the way through, but this is definitely like Riley's.
I'm
been
sure
pulling
this is
for
a movie your
rom-coms.
sister goes off on every year,
I'm
Fred.
sure. I'm sure. No, but Riley's been pulling for rom-coms for years, and this is the rom-com of Halloween movies, is what it looks like.
Yeah. So yeah, Jack, I think you're right. I think I am just going to go ahead and, now that I've kind of told everybody what Practical Magic is about, hopefully I've tipped some interest out there. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say this is my A.
Mhm.
Sounds good.
Cool. Next up, and I'll take a little bit of a break from talking here. So Deepak, maybe if no, oh, never mind. The camera's going off. Doesn't fuck me.
I'm here. I'm here. I'm here.
I was just
Never
going to
left.
say, if nobody else knows this one, maybe you can do the film school on this one. But it's the 2000 cult classic Ginger Snaps.
I have no idea. I've never heard of this movie in my life.
So every year, Polygon.com, a website that I turn to often when I'm looking for stories for the roundup, every year they do a like 31 days of Halloween countdown. And mine and Jack's parents have, for some reason, taken to doing that every year for October. That's how they choose what to watch. And I happen to know that Ginger Snaps, I'm trying to pull it up here so I can tell you exactly what day it was. Yeah, Ginger Snaps was the October 2nd recommendation that they had over there. So let me read the description of Ginger Snaps that Pete Volk over at Polygon wrote, because I think it was very good. And then Jack, let's dunk on our parents for a minute, since they don't listen to the show. Here's the really, really good description of Ginger Snaps from Polygon. There's a sizable horror gap in the monster movie canon. There just aren't enough good werewolf movies. Ginger Snaps is here to fix all that. And if you love Jennifer's Body, you're in for a bloody treat. Directed by Orphan Black co-creator John Fawcett, Ginger Snaps is a delightfully gruesome story about two sisters. One of them has gotten her period for the first time and is turned into a werewolf shortly after. Things get messy fast. Ginger Snaps doesn't just do a great job filling in the werewolf canon. It's a grisly body horror story placed on the effective puberty allegory with a compelling central sister relationship. If you've ever watched something like Sam Raimi's Spider-Man and thought, this is great and surprisingly gooey, but give me stories like this about teen girls, then Ginger Snap is for you. The movie has amassed a dedicated cult following in the year since its release. You're next up to join the ranks. See you at the next full moon. And yeah, it came out in 2000. So that's the rundown on Ginger Snaps. I don't know if we want to put it at maybe a C, since we haven't heard of it, but it's one that I want to check out this year. I was hoping one of you guys would know more about it.
Apologies.
All right.
Nope, never heard of it.
We'll lock it in at C, and then let's go to a new one that I think we'll all have some stuff to say about, at least about the franchise. This is our only representation from the franchise, so throw down if you want to say anything about it. But Scream 6 is our Scream representative.
No.
You don't like Scream?
That's
I like Scream. I just didn't like not Scream. Yeah, that's the New York one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No. D. No better than D.
All right. You want to tell us why?
The worst one.
It just sucked. It was bad. Like, first of all, the gimmick has played out, and I know that they're owning the fact that the gimmick has played out. But if you're gonna do it, keep it tight. And it just goes on and on and on, and makes less and less sense as it goes on. Starts off okay. They use New York pretty well. It's kind of nice to freshen things up a bit, like when Spider-Man goes to Europe for a movie or whatever. But yeah, no, this ain't it. This ain't it.
I wonder if, because it seemed like from the advertising that the whole bit here was going to be, now they were sort of aware of the Scream movies, whereas before they had just been aware of like horror tropes. Is that sort of how it played out? Is that what kind of gets exhausting about it?
It gets again, it's a cool idea, and they probably should have gotten to it sooner in the franchise, but they had to reboot it like twice before they got to this point.
I guess maybe
the last one is better. Yeah. There's also
I guess maybe I just haven't seen as many of them, but I didn't think it was that bad. I would have said it's like a C or a B. I don't think it's amazing.
I'm probably harsher on it than most, because I think based on Letterboxd, most people came away more positive, but I thought this was the weakest of the series.
Jack, make your case.
Check out the other ones.
Don't just just because I say the word movie when I introduce him, don't let him steamroll you. Let us hear why you love Screams. Tell us why
I wouldn't say I loved.
No, tell us why, in your own words, you think Scream 6 is the only S tier movie on this list. Go ahead.
I like I said, I hadn't really seen any of the other ones, but I was familiar with the cultural attitude around it.
Mm.
and I wanted to go see what it was all about. Maybe I would like the other ones more. But I thought it did what it did fine. It spooked me. I am easily spooked, and that's most of what I go to a horror movie for, not for like the deep and involved character study.
Wow. Deepak film dead in a ditch.
That was my fault. I went into Scream 6 looking for something akin to like Citizen Kane. It just
That's what you do. You've done that. We've done that together so many times, Deepak, and I'm always sitting there next to you, and we're always watching like
Jackass 4.
Meg 2, Hardly Megan, and you're like, I don't understand the shark's motivations. I just can't get
I
it.
just don't get it. I just
All
don't
right.
get it.
Can you guys compromise on a C? Can we shake hands at a C for Scream 6?
Whatever.
Seems fine.
Whatever.
I actually watched this movie last night.
Oh, Bruno coming in saying he just watched it last night. Yeah, where are we at, Bruno?
Get in here. Get in the ring.
I'm kind of in agreement a little bit with Deepak, mostly because I found this one a little bit too dependent on its predecessor, which I didn't expect from most of the other Scream movies.
Interesting. Too dependent on having seen 5.
Yeah, it was pretty much a direct, like story-wise, it was a direct sequel to 5. And if you hadn't seen 5, you would be possibly a little bit lost. But at the same time, my girlfriend didn't see 5, and she called the killer in the first 20 minutes. So take that as you will.
That's a strike against.
They're all pretty obvious about who the killer.
Well, no, I think the first one wasn't. The first one was
like Scream.
Yeah.
Okay.
The first one is
fair. I don't know that Scream is. Yeah.
I think after that.
That's the best one.
It is the best. Yep.
What was I going to ask? Oh, is Jenna Ortega in 5 also?
Yeah, she's in 5 and 6.
Okay. She just really seemed to have blown up after 6, and I wasn't sure if.
Well, Wednesday came out between 5 and 6. Yeah.
Okay.
There was something else she was in. I can't remember now.
Next up, let's see where we all stand. This one I feel like might be one that Fred might low-key stump for. I'm not sure. I'm kind of just guessing. But Ernest Scared Stupid? Is that something that do any of us have any kind of affinity for the Ernest franchise?
Is this like an Eat, Pray, Love kind of thing?
I haven't thought about the Ernest franchise in like 20 years.
So yeah, we had sure, we are all to some degree familiar with the character of Ernest, right? Started, it's Jim Varney's character, right? Who started as like a local car ad character and somehow became a Disney icon. But Ernest Scared Stupid, is Ernest doing, meeting monsters and doing silly faces, doing a whole ass Halloween.
Was it a 90s bit? Like, I don't know what.
Ernest Scared Stupid was 91.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this it feels in the same family as like the Pee Wee Herman movies or like the Stupids. Like that was a whole movie. It's called The Stupids. Like it was just. I could live without it.
Interesting. It was.
I mean, knowing very little about it, it made money, which is more successful in some ways than some of the movies we've looked at so far. But it doesn't look like the sort of thing I would want to put on.
I remember it being an especially goopy film. I think there was probably a lot of Vaseline dedicated to that budget.
Disney was big on the goo at the time.
But yeah, I'm fine if we throw this down at the D level. I have no particular
love.
love.
This is in the flubber age.
This is the prime
keep up with Nickelodeon.
Era.
Nickelodeon slime.
That's actually probably
what it was. Kings of the Slime over at Nickelodeon, never to be dethroned. Want to throw to another classic here. Don't know if we'll have much in-house knowledge on this one, but Jack, it sounds like you're running the Google machine there, so maybe you can, if you need to, tell us a little bit about 1988's Night of the Demons, because it made the list, and I'm always looking for new ones, and I have never even heard of this one.
If I can just add a quick bonus point, I think this merits a few points for being one of the only movie posters that like Google deemed too sensitive for me to look at.
Hey, it's a terrifying poster.
It is a rough poster.
Night of the Demons, 1988.
Yeah, I'll try and describe it to anybody who's only
supernatural. Oh, sorry, go on.
Oh no, I was just gonna before you tell us about the movie, I just wanted to, for anybody who's an audio only listener, for anybody who's an audio only listener, I wanted to remind you that you can head over to NIHF.com or our YouTube channel where you can watch all these episodes and see things like the poster for Night of the Demons, which I will now try and describe to you. So there's text. Okay, so the movie's called Night of the Demons, and that is across the middle at the bottom, and it's Night of the in, pretty normal font, and then boy is demons in what I would describe as a spooky hell font. And then up above that, there's a tagline, and it reads as follows: Angela is having a party. Jason and Freddy are too scared to come, but you'll have a hell of a time. You're invited to my party, signed Angela. And then, so that last part is sort of on a card. You're invited to my party, signed Angela. That's on a card that's being held by the scariest looking woman I've ever seen in my life. She's a demon queen lady with like a crown of thorns and a snake crawling through it.
If I may, she's a mix of Gary Oldman's Dracula and the Borg Queen.
That's a great descriptor. She
Okay,
has,
yeah.
I wanted to count them here. I'm going to call it 7 teeth, because I think that one at the bottom is sort of 1 and 2. So I'm going to count it as a 1. I didn't notice that the invitation is on fire that she's holding.
It's like the girl from The Exorcist all grown up.
Let's give it a B.
It's female Gollum. Doesn't
I'm
Gollum
starting
count
at-
his teeth?
That's true. I am starting at B, just from the poster alone. But then I am excited to hear
I think
what Jack can tell me about the movie.
I kind of think that, again, not knowing too much, it seems like it is a cult classic horror film that has sort of achieved that status for a lot of its design elements and special effects and stuff. So I think the whole movie has sort of got this vibe going on.
Mm-hmm.
Plot-wise, it is about a group of teenagers who are having a party in an abandoned funeral parlor, like you do,
Like you
on
do.
Halloween. And when suddenly evil spirits start to show up and they get possessed by demons one by one, turning them into monstrous versions of themselves.
Mm.
And the rest of them have to try to fight them off and survive the night. And, horror movies ensue. A lot of it is a little over the top. It's a kind of a campier film with a lot of dark humor and a lot of interesting makeup and special effects, like you can even see in the poster.
So, Jack, where are you putting it? You're our expert.
I mean, I'm with you. I think if the whole movie can keep the vibe I'm seeing on this poster up, it might be tonight. So I'd go B for sure.
Fred, you feeling all right about that?
I'm feeling good about B. I mean, it's looks like a lot of practical effects, a lot of like standard horror cliche tropes, but it was made in the 80s, which means like this is the time where all that starts, right? So
yeah, let's do it. Lock her in.
As long as you know it.
Here's a movie that I think we're all going to have opinions about. A little film from the year 2001 that maybe Deepak can take us to film school on, because there was some weird things that happened during its production vis-a-vis a plane. Donnie Darko.
I mean, I've seen it. I don't know much about the production of it.
Oh, well, let me
I mixed
just tell you
feelings
all
about Donnie Darko.
And you're in for a tale.
Let me tell you a quick little backstory before we actually assess the movie on its merits. For those who have potentially never seen it, Donnie Darko is a challenging film to follow. Partially because it is about, among other things, wormholes and causal loops and time travel. But also partially because the major plot point of the film is that a plane crashes into a kid's house, and the movie came out in September of 2001, I want to say. I don't know if anything else happened that month, but the result was that a big old chunk of that movie just got cut out. We just fucking get it out of there, just cold lift it, see what you can do.
No way to make this work.
Unfortunate. And so, yeah, that's also a big thing that sort of works to the detriment of
there
that
is a
film.
director's cut
Yes,
that has it in there,
which I have not seen, and I'm hoping to watch this year, as a matter of
I
fact.
have seen the director's cut. It is easier to follow. It is not
sure. I would
easy
bet.
to follow.
It feels kind of like it's... we said we were judging these as Halloween movies. Is this one like a Halloween movie, or is it just kind of creepy?
It's a Halloween movie in the same way that Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
Well, it's creepy
Right.
and takes
No,
place at
Die
Halloween.
Hard isn't. Yeah, Die Hard is explicitly a Christmas movie. This is again a guy's in a costume. So
For a Halloween party.
They go to a Halloween party.
I guess.
I have not seen the movie in a long, long time. I just remember thinking it was better than what I thought it would be.
If we go too deep
I think it's good.
into Frank the Bunny Rabbit, we're gonna spoil the movie.
Yeah. Right.
I
But
need to
yeah,
watch it again.
I think it's
like I haven't seen
more
it.
of a Halloween movie than some others, and it's a very good movie, so maybe that should be worth some points. But I just wanted to ask, wanted to get the group's
I
opinion.
would either put this in A tier or D tier, depending on.
Depending on the
No,
day.
I think
Yeah,
this is a solid B tier. Maybe A tier compared to what else is on the list.
I think
We can
A's
put it-
fine.
But it's not. Well, it's not an A tier Halloween movie.
You don't think?
It may be an A tier movie, but
Listen,
it's a
I
weird
heard,
movie.
I'd go B. I'd go B. I'd go B.
so I was
Just me.
excited. I thought it was going to land at B. I thought it was going to land at B. I would have liked it to land at A. I thought it was going to land at B. I though then did hear all three of you say A. So what I'm saying is let's put it at A now and we can bump it later.
We do have fewer things
Oh,
in it,
that's
but
probably
yeah, nothing's locked in. We can
Yeah,
adjust.
Yeah, whatever
This
you
isn't-
guys want. Whatever you guys want. Go for
I should
it.
go back and rewatch Night Dark. So
Let's give Deepak something he can chew on here. Oh wait, I was gonna ask Deep. Sorry, I blew out my fucking mic there. Deepak, did you is Donnie Darko what makes Jake Gyllenhaal? Is there anything before that like puts him on the map, or is that the movie?
There was the Bubble Boy movie before that.
Oh, he does Bubble Boy. That's right. And yeah, fair enough. All right, Deepak, what do you think about
What?
Tim Burton's Sleepy Hollow, starring a young Mr. Johnny Depp?
Yeah, I'm good with that being a Halloween movie, and I think that over the years that has become one of the better regarded Halloween movies. And I know we have complicated feelings about not only one Mr. Depp but one Mr. Burton as well.
Sure.
But I think this is one of the ones that look, he has a very narrow lane,
Mm-hmm.
and he likes to kind of deviate from that lane and kind of bring his influences into lanes where they maybe don't work as well. But when he's in that very specific gothic, demented Beetlejuice type of lane as Sleepy Hollow, and even more so like Sweeney Todd exist in, I think Burton can work wonders. And I think especially on an aesthetic level, Sleepy Hollow works very well. So I'm okay with even potentially putting this in the A tier.
So I'm gonna agree with Deepak. I think Burton's style in Wild Halloween films is like appropriate. I'm not a big fan of his other.
It's like you cannot justify it otherwise, but I will.
When it comes to
allow it.
Burton tackling classic literature, Sleepy Hollow greater than Alice in Wonderland, perhaps.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
or Willy Wonka.
Willy
for
Wonka.
sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind.
I would agree.
Hey,
Is it just this and Nightmare Before Christmas in terms of
those
Burton
are the
rep?
Burtons we're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I mean
I'm-
but Nightmare Before Christmas is kind of that poltergeist thing of did he, didn't he? really
Right. It's
direct
a
that
Selleck movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is his characters and stuff. I mean, it is his vibe, right? Like, which is what Fred's
Yeah, like we were
talking
just
about.
talking about.
Did he
You look
direct
at it and
Corpse
it's like,
Bride?
oh,
Yes,
he did.
He did direct Corpse Bride.
Yeah. A
Okay.
sounds good.
Yeah, I'm good with this in A. And then if we're on the topic anyway, where do we put Nightmare?
Us.
Nightmare might be S, yeah.
Our top.
It's a solid S candidate for me as well.
Okay.
I don't think it's the only one. If we have to only pick,
It's certainly no less than A.
Yeah.
All right. Throw it up there. I'm surprised that this grew out. All right, great. No, not there. A. Put it at A. You monsters trying to get the
Wait,
jump
why
on me
not?
like that.
I thought
Well,
okay.
I think we're gonna
thought-
vote out of our A's for one to be S. I think we'll right.
I said
just
these are
wanna
like
throw-
best
yeah.
picture nominees. I didn't know we were treating them that way.
Do whatever you want. Do you want to put it up? Fine. Put it up at S. Deepak feels like his voice isn't being heard. Put it up at there. We
It's
go.
not being heard. You guys suck.
it's not a feeling; it's a fact.
Karate Kid.
Not a Halloween
Halloween
movie.
movie.
Yeah, it's a great movie. It's not a Halloween movie.
I agree.
The main guy loses
This-
at the end.
I feel bad putting it at D, but I mean, for the purpose of the exercise.
I'm with you. I'm with you. This, I think, is the Die Hard analog
I was confused
Like-
why this was on the list.
because it takes
Does
place
he-
around Halloween.
Because
That's allowed. That's a
No
time of year.
recollection of that.
And
there's
Danny the
another movie-
monster
there's
dumps water on our hero Johnny Lawrence while he's in the bathroom of a Halloween party, and it's
That's true. And there's another movie from the same time period that's about to come up here, I think, that I
Mhm.
think is on the list for the same reason. And it has no business being on this list.
Oh, that's interesting. But yeah, no, I'm with you. I think Karate Kid is D. And it's unfortunate 'cause
Halloween
it's a
movie
good
for sure.
movie,
no.
worth a watch. But also, it does feature one of the scariest things of all, a future Trump supporter. Ooh.
That's
Just wanted to
true.
make, just wanted to
Who's
make a
the
joke
future-
about how the kid from Karate Kid's like a
Kid.
freaky MAGA weirdo now.
Oh, Macchio went MAGA? That's a
Is
shame.
he really?
Yeah. He like shows
Johnny
up at
Lawrence.
If you
For the win. I called it immediately.
if you invited me to a Halloween party and you were like, "We're gonna watch Karate Kid," I wouldn't show up.
Great. Well, D-Back, what's the next one you wanted to call out? Let's just make sure you're able to sink your teeth into it here.
Oh, it's E.T. I know exactly why E.T.'s on this list. E.T. does not deserve to be on
Yeah, that one
list.
is also. I'm more okay with that one than Karate Kid, but it's not.
I am
super Halloween.
E.T. is not a good
Shocked
movie.
by this.
I don't like
Well,
E.T.
that's a
Fred,
separate conversation,
Fred,
Fred.
you
That's
shut
a
the fuck
separate
up.
conversation.
Yeah.
I think it's overrated, but I'm not going to say it's a bad movie.
Not
First
bad.
of all, it's the best Steven Spielberg movie. So that's an interesting, funny
No,
joke. that
it's
you
the
guys are
most.
doing.
It's the most
That's
Steven
not right.
Spielberg movie.
That's
I think that E.T. the whole reason they're able to get him out of the house is because people just think he's a kid dressed like an alien.
It's one scene in the movie.
Yeah.
That's
It's
even more
the
tenuous
Well, and
than
there's
Die
like
Hard
the
and
candy
Christmas.
corn scene.
At least it's Christmas throughout Die Hard. The
Reese's
whole movie.
Pieces.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry,
I get
Reese's
it.
Pieces,
Again, I
not
understand
candy
why
corn.
it's here. It's not a Halloween movie.
Oh my god, you're.
I would be okay
so-
with C.
C.
I would
I'll
put
do
it at
C.
C
I'll
over
do
Karate
C.
Kid.
Yeah, because
He's
it's more so than
generous.
Karate
He's
Kid. Go
generous.
ahead, put it above
I won't
Karate Kid.
fight you in the streets if we put it at C.
I will come to your house if we put it in D.
Just
Yeah,
put it in
no.
D.
All right, moving on.
I'm watching ET tonight. Fuck all of you.
No one's stopping you. Just don't watch it on Halloween. That's all.
House of a Thousand Corpses. Let's.
Haven't
We
seen
have.
it.
That's the Rob Zombie one, right?
I was gonna say we
Yeah.
haven't talked to Zombie. Where are we at, Rob Zombie wise? I'll say this: that Monsters movie he made last year was a piece of nuclear garbage. But aside from that, I
Yeah.
think he's a fun time.
I've only seen his first of the Halloween duo that he made, and it was nah.
Did he?
Fred likes his
do-
music.
I mean, there's that one song I've ever heard. Does he do more than one song?
It's all
I'm
kind
I
of
think
familiar
so.
with
I think that's what he mostly does.
What are the? Did he do The Hills Have Eyes, or he did something like that, right?
Let's
He
pull
did.
it up.
No,
Or was it
wasn't
Texas
Hills
Chainsaw Massacre? He did. He like redid one of them.
He does. This is what he does. He does
It might have
remakes.
been Chainsaw. Yeah.
It was a Chainsaw.
It
I
might
hadn't
be.
seen this one.
House of a Thousand Corpses is his first movie,
Yeah.
which he does not produce. The other ones he's a producer on, but this one he just writes and directs. Then he does Devil's Rejects. He does the 2007 Halloween. I don't know if anyone saw Werewolf Women of the SS, but that's one he did. Then in 2009, he did Halloween 2 and The Haunted World of El Super Beasto. Guys, sorry. I know that we let everyone know what the Nerd Out schedule was at the start of this episode, but I do have to announce
Audible.
upcoming series of us covering Werewolf Women of the SS and El Super Beasto in a double feature.
Sounds like quite a showing.
Yeah, I mean, the last thing that I'm seeing here that was of any kind of cultural note was Halloween 2, which was in 2009, right? And then, but yeah, he does remakes of like Jack says, he's a musician. He's not a
Right.
traditional director.
Can't
I mean, he's
imagine that
made-
this would be my favorite Halloween movie if I watched it.
Yes. Well, okay.
C tier. Add it to
Yeah,
C, maybe.
I mean, it's at least as good as ET.
Yeah. Right.
Rainn Wilson's in it.
Oh, B tier.
It's I think Dennis Fimple's final role,
Wow.
A tier.
which is just interesting. Yes, it's this one. This is it. Cinematography. Who shot it? Tom Richmond. What
You
I'm-
meme of I can
Intense.
only get so.
Yeah, it's that Vince McMahon finding out that learning about House of a Thousand Corpses.
Ooh.
We're coming in here to the back half of the list. We just kind of took a stop down, and Jack and I were saying that we feel like this behind the back half of the list here is where we really might start to feel like we have some stronger opinions here. I would like to start by offering up one that I think we'll all have seen at some point in our lives. Let's talk of the Casper. 1995's Casper.
What
What
a
are we
friendly
doing with it?
ghost.
A tier.
Yeah, big fan.
Wow.
Wow. I'm trying to think of an earlier example of vacuum cleaners beating ghosts.
Okay.
Casper is to Halloween movies what Home Alone is to Christmas movies.
Fred.
I can understand that.
Do you know about the Ghostbusters?
Ghostbusters is not a
But
Christmas
that was
or
not
Halloween
those were
movie.
not vacuum cleaners. Come on, you know those proton packs were not vacuum cleaners. Very
Just a
different.
They got fancy vacuum.
No, because they shoot
They
them
suck up a
first.
ghost.
They don't suck up a ghost. They shoot
And
them
nothing
with
else, I
with
think.
the proton electron things. They shoot the ghost, and then they throw a trap out, and then it gets them.
That's true, actually.
That's how you catch ghosts.
I
you mean
put my
literal-
faith in Fred's passion.
If you mean literal
Absolutely.
vacuums, I suppose you're right.
Mhm.
I feel like B might. I guess maybe I'm remembering more of the 90s CG.
Yeah, I own Casper on Steelbook. I think B is a very generous place for Casper.
It's if the rom-com gets to be A tier, then Casper is definitely A tier.
You can
Is
veto
that gonna
it.
be-
I
yeah,
think
is that
this
gonna
is
be your
maybe
one?
established.
You get one to call. If you want to just put it there, it can be your
What else
one.
is left on this list? Let me double check. Am I passionate about anything coming up? Oh yeah, go ahead.
All right, great.
All right. Fox putting Casper in A tier.
Bruno, can you put Casper all the way to the left so that we remember he's locked in there along with Practical Magic? Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. Okay. Wow, I was not expecting that.
Me
But
neither.
I love it. This is what I love about
Never
doing
let them know your next move, man.
Let's talk about a movie I don't know if you guys will have seen, but it's one that I have like an academic passion for, though not like a cinematic passion for.
It's gonna be some 1992 Hallmark Halloween movie.
It's Halloween 3: Season of the Witch. You're not far off. So this was Halloween as a friend. So
Just by the way,
sorry.
I already locked it in. Like,
Bruno's putting it in A.
it's right there
I've
next to
not seen
Casper.
this
I'm
one.
sorry.
So Halloween 3 is the one
this
that's
better
not.
than the two previous ones.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, the two previous ones are iffy, but Halloween 3 is the one that's not Michael Myers. It's like a totally different.
Right.
It's a Star Wars anthology story for Halloween.
When they initially had pitched the idea of doing Halloween, they were not supposed to be it was going to be an anthology franchise, right?
Not Michael Myers.
But Michael Myers as a concept was so successful at a time that like those sort of zeitgeisty killers were becoming so popular that it was very difficult for the studio to feel like they could walk away from the Michael Myers character. But then when the second one kind of felt like diminishing returns, they went, oh, well, maybe now. And Season of the Witch really was not well received the way the other ones were. And that's why it went back to being a Michael Myers thing. And there have been all these weird attempts. The David Gordon Green machine, which Deepak commented on in our letterbox this week. If you want to go check out his review of the new Exorcist reboot, which probably suffers from a lot of the same problems as the Halloween reboot. But I was just going to say the Halloween reboot tried to kind of like incorporate some stuff from Season of the Witch to be like, look, it's all one story and here's why it's all important. But yeah, ultimately it's just a total standalone story that takes place in the middle of a franchise that's otherwise about other stuff. Yeah, I mean, if we continue to kind of do these weird cross movie analogies, I suppose it's the Hobbs and Shaw of the Halloween franchise.
Mm-hmm.
Except if Hobbs and Shaw had never shown up in any other movies.
Right.
Yeah,
So
I
wait,
don't know.
what's the killer in this one? Just like
She's some witch.
a witch?
For the main part, it's like a cult.
Oh, okay.
It's like a cult following a witch, and they're.
It takes place like in colonial times, Fred. It's a whole thing.
It's like one of those sacrificial cult type movies rather than like what you expect.
Totally different movie.
It's not a slasher movie at all.
Yeah,
but I
no.
still think it's great.
Yeah,
Okay.
totally different thing. It's like
Yeah,
a
it has a
period.
very passionate fan base around that movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have not seen it, but I'm aware of it.
I find it dangerous.
I'm okay to put it at least B tier.
I feel like we have a lot of room in B.
I feel like we
Yeah.
have a lot of room in B as well.
Let's add it.
All right.
Bruno's already locked in A.
Yeah, Bruno's like, unfortunately, the mouse isn't working. I can't. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to drag it down, but it just won't
I
budge.
don't know what to tell you guys.
All right, Bruno's going to see if he can get some digital WD-40 on that. And if it just ends up staying a day, I guess it ends up staying a day. And what are we going to do about that? But what do we have to talk about here? Anybody seen either Trick or Treat, the 1986 film, or Trick or Treat, the 2007 film?
I've seen the 07 movie.
Talk to us about the 07 movie.
My memory's very fuzzy because I saw it a long time ago, but I remember it having kind of an all-star cast of like B-list actors at the time. And it's the one with the kid with like the burlap sack.
Yes, I have seen
with
this.
the stitched button eyes, and
Looks like a pumpkin.
I remember the imagery around it more than the movie itself, which I guess is something positive to say about it. So
Yes. So this is the one where they go into all the legends about Halloween, right? Like how you have to keep your pumpkin out until a certain time or whatever, or you have to give out candy or something.
Yeah, I believe that's correct, Fred.
yeah,
This is
I think
one.
that's a good Halloween movie, actually.
yeah,
I would say,
is.
if we're going to talk Halloween movie versus actual movie, like as far as the movies go, this one's kind of whatever, but I think it's a solid Halloween film.
Okay.
Right.
I know that it
on
has.
B.
Yeah, we can throw it on B. I know Jack and I observed. We should make this announcement here. This is a silly place to make this announcement, but let's do it here. Hold on. Yeah, exactly that. Hold on. I have something for this. This year's Halloween episode will be the Spirit Halloween-a-palooza. So yeah, Jack and I were walking around Spirit Halloween and we saw a lot of these costumes. So that's why I think B is good for this one, because it's definitely like spawned a following, right? Like I saw different versions of this costume. Jack, because it was like Sam, and then it was like Sam 2, and then it was like Jack-o'-lantern Sam, and Jack and I were just like, what happens to Sam? Apparently it's the story of this movie. So yeah, great, I'm in. What about the other one? What about the 80s? I mean, if we just have no info on it, I can try and
didn't even know it. So is the 07 like a remake of that, or they just happen to have the same title?
I think they are completely different from each other. I know that the 86 one gets shown perennially at the Alamo in October. So I see ads for it every year, though I have not
It's
actually.
not a tremendous confession of quality, though.
That could also, it could be a terrible movie that people just like because it's old.
Listen, sorry. Again, not an indication of quality coming from me. I just want to say these words out loud because they're the first thing I've learned about this movie. Special guest appearances by Gene Simmons and Ozzy Osbourne. Just wanted to say those words.
It seems like it's about it centers around metal music actually heavily.
Rock opera or something. Yeah,
it's about when the character's favorite rock musician Sammy Kerr dies.
Oh, that's sad.
And he comes into possession of one of Sammy's unreleased records, which, when he plays it backwards, can bring Sammy back to life.
Sounds like it has potential. Let's throw it on D out of lack of information, and I promise to do the homework and check in again in a following episode of this show. How's that sound for everybody? Good. All right, moving on.
I'm surprised Rocky Horror Picture Show is not on this list.
Let's start a fight.
Hmm.
Hocus Pocus.
Well, there's not enough room in A.
Originally,
So I would have to
you're
kick
right.
something out.
Not.
I mean, if
Mm.
Halloween 3 is still in A, I
Yeah,
would
Bruno,
say
get
so.
Halloween 3 up out of my A tier. We will
No,
kill
you know
each
what?
other if Hocus Pocus
I'm-
goes to B.
I'm fine with Hocus Pocus being in B or lower than B.
You're not on the
actually.
show, respectfully.
I mean, it's more just that we hadn't considered Bruno when we did the math the first time around.
I'm I'm gonna use my one lock-in to put Season of the Witch in A. And you know what? If there's no room for Hocus Pocus, there's no room for Hocus Pocus. What can I say? It's
This is rude, but fine. That means Sleepy Hollow goes to B.
Yeah.
Can I say out of
No,
all
fuck
the
you,
movies,
Fred, you're
out of,
wrong.
out of,
Just
out
because
of
you
all
don't
the movies,
enjoy it as like we're not asking if you like it or not. There are a lot of movies on this list that I
This
don't
is really
like.
stupid. Oh wait, yo, Donnie Darko should be B and Sleepy Hollow should be A.
probably,
This is
yeah.
stupid.
Okay, that's
probably.
fine. Flip it that
probably
way.
fair.
We're
We're
That's
gonna
probably fair.
run into this problem again. They're both gonna
Yeah.
end up somewhere else.
This isn't the end of the conversation, but I'm saying that Hocus Pocus, especially like in the last however many years or whatever, has become like a zeitgeist phrase that's all
Yeah.
like carries as much Q score power as like Game of Thrones, right? So Fred can't just
Yes,
be like,
Hocus
I don't like
Pocus is as
watching Disney
popular as
movies
Game
with
of
talking.
Thrones. Yeah.
So this
It
is
absolutely is.
I do have to
Look
put
up the
this one
Google
in.
Trend data. There's a reason that they did a 20th anniversary. Like this thing is massively popular.
If it was that massively popular, the sequel would not have gone to streaming. All right.
You can't make that up for every single movie. Yeah, it would. The first movie went directly to Disney Channel. I'm pretty sure the second one
then
wasn't
not that
designed
big
to
of a
go to
deal.
Yeah, but
IMAX.
also, Deepak, I can say the same thing about The Lion King here. Like, it's.
What do you mean?
I agree with you, but also,
Oh, with the
Like
direct
The Lion King
VHS?
2
Yeah.
came out directly on
Yeah.
DVD,
I guess so. Yeah.
but Lion King is good.
VHS. Yeah, you're right. Fair point. I'm not the biggest Hocus Pocus fan either, but I would say it's probably A tier, no less than B.
so
Yeah, I think that's what I'm saying. I mean,
I do have to say
I
this,
don't
this is
object
a
to-
this is going to be a wild thing I'm about to say, but this is 100%
You can just
true.
get your insane opinions out if you want.
Hocus Pocus scared the shit out of me when I was a little kid.
now we're getting to the core of
Now,
it.
yeah, we're figuring it out.
I was
Now we're
so little
talking
when I
about
watched Hocus Pocus. Out of all the movies on this list, I wasn't afraid of anyone except for Hocus Pocus.
Fred's puritanical upbringing made him fear the witches.
As he
And
should.
they're talking cats.
He's
Also,
gonna
why
love
you couldn't
Halloween
watch
3.
Sabrina the Teenage Witch when we were growing up. Same problem, I think. Witches and a talking cat. Couldn't do it.
No, that one I watched when I was older. It was fine, but no.
That was funny.
Do you,
Cool.
do you guys want me to send you a screenshot of the Google Trends for Hocus Pocus?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, kind of actually.
Side by side with Game of Thrones, please.
I have
in
House of the
terms
Dragons and Game of Thrones.
Yeah, please. House of the Dragon is what I was thinking of, to be fair. But I'll take either one. I did say Game of Thrones. Okay, so for now, Hocus Pocus goes to A, and we have this fight again in a couple minutes. That's exactly what I wanted out of this.
Wonderful.
What's on there that we're actually not really going to care about much? Because I know that where our real sticking points are from now on. I think
Can
Pumpkinhead.
we just shoot through the last few? I don't even think we have strong feelings about them.
Well, there's one that we do. Pumpkinhead. Where are we going with that? Is that
Never even heard of it. D,
Great.
automatic.
make it a D? And then what are the other two there that aren't Halloween, Bruno? I just can't see them easily. Oh,
I've seen Terrifier 1.
yeah.
I would say if 2 is anything like 1, it's probably C tier.
Okay, throw it on C. It was one of those interesting things that last year everybody was freaking out about. Do you guys remember? Where like,
That's why I.
That was the
that's
clown
why I-
thing, right?
right.
Isn't that the
Yeah.
whole thing?
That's why I watched 1 trying to get to 2, and I watched most of 1, and that was enough.
all right, and then I think
Hold
Idle
on.
Hands can go to D again out of probably lack of
Yeah.
info.
Never heard of it.
I also think that one's not very good from what I did pull up the Wikipedia for that one.
And then here's what I'm saying. I think Sleepy Hollow goes to B. I think I
And
think
you want to put
Nightmare
Halloween in
Before
S.
Christmas gets back where it belongs, and I think Halloween is S.
This is the 78 Halloween.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's S. That's the best one.
I think that is unquestionably the
I think that's fair.
only two S's that I'm really willing to accept out of this activity are either Halloween or Hocus Pocus.
No.
You don't think
Well, we
Nightmare
know that
Before
you-
Christmas is S, though?
No, I think it's a Christmas movie. And I'm
It's
not going to let
it's
Fred
Halloween
come
movie.
in here and try and get my Halloween poll to be taken away by Santa Claus.
I'm fine with your proposal, Riley.
I think
Halloween.
I will vote yay.
I think John Carpenter's 1978 Halloween is the best and most Halloween movie you can watch. I am perfectly content to allow Henry Selick's Tim Burton's A Nightmare Before Halloween to be on our A list. And then I would say that Tim
Not the
Burton.
Nightmare Before Halloween, and you know that.
And then I would say that Tim
He wants
Burton,
it to be The Nightmare Before Halloween.
Sleepy Hollow bumps down to B. But I don't know. Do you guys
Yeah.
think?
I think that's
I'm
I think
okay with it. I'm okay with that. If you're gonna dethrone Nightmare
Sandra
Before
Bullock
Christmas,
movie
I think
bumps down to B.
No, I locked it in. That's why we're also not talking about Casper or
Okay,
Season of the
fine.
which
Witch.
should be at C or D.
Right.
Yeah, what did you lock in? I don't remember you locking
I didn't
anything
lock
in.
anything in, but if
Yeah, so you
I have
you
to,
hold
it
the
would be
power.
it would be to put I mean, I was very close when we were talking about putting Hocus Pocus lower. But no, I'm fine with this whole list. I don't need to veto anything.
I think this is a good final list.
Mhm.
And I'm
Yeah.
glad that we had an argument about it.
I mean, that was the point.
Yeah, that was entirely the point. I'm glad we got the outcome we wanted. Cool.
Fucking insane. No, this would not be my list, but this is our list.
This is our list.
Our list.
All right. Let us know what your lists are in the comments. Let's do the end of the show. Longest episode ever.
I don't think it is, but it's up there.
That's it. This has been Nerd Here Weekly. Thank you so much for listening. We want to remind you to head over to NIHF.com and subscribe to become a member of the site. You get all of our free content. And for just $5 a month, you can get 4 bonus episodes. Those are our nerd outs that actually kind of sometimes look a lot like what we just did with those Halloween sorting movies, which is kind of why I wanted to have it in here as an activity. So you could get a sense of whether or not you think you might want to sign up for the nerd out for $5 a month. We're going to head out. We'll be back later. But before we go, we're going to hit you with our pop culture recommendations. These are things we've been watching, reading, eating, playing, listening, or haunting this week that we've enjoyed. And I remembered it was a spooky episode, and we think you might enjoy too. And this week, I want to start with Deepak.
Yeah, like you said earlier, I saw The Exorcist Believer. Maybe not as bad as what you've read on Rotten Tomatoes and everywhere else, but also maybe not as good that you need to rush out and see it ASAP. It'll probably be on streaming within a reasonable amount of time. But it's probably better than its reputation, but not anything that you need to make an appointment to go see.
Fred?
Yeah, I've been jumping back into Cyberpunk 2077. They did a new update, which really just like the entire progression is completely different. They really like redid that whole game from top to bottom. So it's a lot better now. I think they made a lot of work on it. I haven't gotten into the Phantom Liberty stuff, so I'm not going to talk too much about that. But I know so far there's a lot of new content, a lot of new weapons, a lot of new cars, a lot of new everything. The progression's totally different. Clothes don't matter anymore, so you can spec your character how you want and make them look how you want, which was a big complaint of the previous versions. But yeah, it's very good.
Jackson?
Yeah, in the spooky theme of things, I played a game called The Mortuary Assistant recently.
Oh, did you play that?
Yes. It's very spooky. You play as the titular role, and it's the type of horror that really like spooks me out, where it's not like it's a hard to like deal with problem. Like you don't even know how you can handle it. It just feels like it's happening to you. So it got me pretty good.
Sounds neat. I saw 10 in the movie theaters, and kind of similar to what Deepak was saying about The Exorcist. I don't know if it's one you have to rush out for, but if you're a fan of the franchise, I do think it is probably one of the best movies that franchise has had in a long time. Long take short, we are now cheering for Jigsaw, which you think is interesting. Yeah, so there you go. That's it. We hope you have a very spooky October. Thank you so much for listening. Please remember to subscribe to the show at NIHF.com. And for $5 a month, sign up for the Nerd Out. We get 4 bonus episodes every single month. Thank you to Wiki Rascals for our logo and artwork. Thanks to Bruno for his work behind the scenes, making the show great. And thanks to you for supporting us and all we do. And as always, don't forget to tune in next week to hear.
Theodore Geisel over here.